Are you playing Pokemon? No? Are you playing Pokemon? Are you playing Pokemon? No? So there's like this new app that just came out like a couple, not sure how long ago, but there's a bunch of videos on YouTube of a bunch of people walking around all over the place just looking at their phone, going like this, and people are like, are you playing Pokemon Go? And everyone's like, yeah. And for some reason, there's this new Pokemon game, this app came out, and I tried downloading it to see how it worked because I'm like, what is this game that everyone's like freaking out about and everyone is playing all day, every day right now? And for some reason, I'm not able to play it here in Costa Rica. So you can't play it in certain parts of the world. And one of those places is apparently in Costa Rica, which is kind of a bummer because I just wanted to see how it worked. And I'm just kind of wondering, why is it that this Pokemon game is becoming so popular and everyone is playing it? So if you play this Pokemon game, which is getting really popular, please let me know in the comments because I'm trying to figure out why is this game so popular. But what I'm going to go do is do a Q&A and answer a few questions because I haven't done a Q&A in a while. So yeah, from the videos that I've seen, everyone in the States is walking around like this. Just walking around, and I don't really understand exactly how this app works because I downloaded and I tried using it, but it won't let me play in Costa Rica, so I'm not really sure how this thing works. Anyways, we're going to do a Q&A. So first question from Surfer Magma. Question, how many surfboards do you have currently? I only have 5. Well, we have like quite a bit of surfboards, but they belong to like the whole family, so they're not like there's a few surfboards that are like mine. They're like only kind of mine, but then there's a lot of our surfboards are just like for anyone in the family to use or friends or something. But surfboards that are like that I'm the only one who really surfs them, maybe like 4 or 5, and then there's a few other ones which I sometimes surf, but they're not like completely mine. They're just like the whole family's. Wild Tropics. 2, is the G7X better than the GoPro? Why not just film everything with the GoPro? Okay, so right now I'm not filming with the G7X, I'm filming with the T5i, but let me go grab my GoPro and my G7X to explain why I don't use just one of them. Okay, so here is a G7X, just normal G7X, and then here is a GoPro Hero 3, like white edition or something like that. So you're asking, why do I use both of these instead of just using one? Because it's definitely a lot lighter if I were to just take this when I go on adventures and vlog. So the reason that I like to have a G7X and this when I go on adventures is because I think that a G7X takes better audio, and I do think it takes better quality video. Also, you can zoom in. You have a zoom on this, or you don't have a zoom on this, and also you have more options and more controls, like if you want to change up the videoing settings and stuff. So if you want to get into like making videos and you want to only have one camera, and you're going to be doing a lot of things where you're like in the water and outdoors where your cameras could get ruined easily, then I'm definitely going to suggest getting a GoPro. But if you want to be able to do like more like vloggy style things, then I'm going to say also get another camera. So I'm not going to go through an in-depth comparison with these two cameras because that would take way too long, but the reason that I like to have another camera, not just a GoPro, is because when you use a GoPro, it's really wide angle, and when you use a different camera, more like a normal one, where it feels more like you're talking to the person and you're like right there, whereas with the GoPro, it's like a really warped, wide angle feel, and I don't know, in my opinion, it doesn't feel the same. And if you watch my video, you notice that almost none of my videos are just a GoPro. I usually like to shoot most of my video on a normal camera, and then I like to add footage from a GoPro because I think a GoPro is really wide angle and gives a really warped feel. So we're going to do a quick little comparison. Okay, first with the G7X. Okay, we're going to switch to the G7X right now. See guys, it almost feels like you're right here talking to me. Now we're going to switch to the GoPro so you can see what I mean, where it's really warped and really wide angle right now. See what I mean? It's really wide angle, and it doesn't really feel like you're actually there, like talking to the person. And it's somewhat bright out, but if it's a little bit darker out, then the quality on this is really, really bad. But you know, GoPros, they're decent. So back to the normal camera. See what I mean? The GoPro is a really wide angle lens, and that's the reason that I usually don't use a GoPro as my main camera. I like to use a different camera so that it feels more like you're there, and then I like to add GoPro shots throughout the video. That's why I usually don't see an entire video on my channel with just a GoPro. And I just realized I actually didn't really completely answer your question. You asked which one is better. Is the G7X better than the GoPro? It can be better for different situations, but it really depends on what situation you're filming in. Gamerzone, do you play Pokemon Go? No, I don't play Pokemon Go. As you saw at the beginning of this video, I'm not able to play that in Costa Rica, so no, I don't play Pokemon Go. Max Houghton, why do you have gum? That was in the survival kit video. Okay, the reason I have gum in my kit, some people say that when you chew gum it makes you hungry, but the reason that I have gum is, let's say you're in an emergency, not an emergency, kind of like an emergency, but let's say you have to evacuate your house and you're like kind of like stressed out or freaking out. Chewing some gum can also more like help relax your mind and get you from stop like being so stressed out. T105X104. It seems the G7X has excellent stabilization. Do you agree? Is its weakness its sound? I'll appreciate your opinion. Okay, so the G7X, since you cannot attach an external microphone like I'm using right now, the audio just isn't going to be as good as it possibly could. But I mean, for how small the camera is, I'm going to say the audio is pretty good and the stabilization is also pretty good. So obviously if you compare this to like a DSLR with like an external microphone, the bigger camera with the external mic is going to blow this camera out of the water. But for how small it is, it's pretty good. So Nahiku Aikau, a sermon. How low do you angle your GoPro when you use your mouth mount? So a lot of my surfing footage is using a GoPro with a mouth mount. Sadly, I just broke the buckle on the GoPro case the other day, so now it is no longer a waterproof case. So hopefully I get a new case pretty soon, or a new GoPro, so I can get more GoPro shots in the water. And about the angle, there's no real angle that I actually like have it set to, because you can't really tell what's the angle, and there's like no lines or anything. But I've used this quite a bit. I've done tons of sessions, tons of different things using the mouth mount, and now I kind of just know, like just from feeling like in my mouth and like pointing the GoPro, I kind of just know where, in what direction I should point the GoPro to get the best shot. So kind of surfing, I know to point the GoPro a little bit further up than it seems, because you don't notice it, but when you're surfing, your head is actually pointing down a little bit. And then when I'm biking, it depends. So there's no exact, like, sometimes it'll be like this, sometimes it'll be like this. It really depends on how I'm feeling that day. Samuel Crow, no shoes, doesn't that hurt? It can hurt if you step on a spike wearing no shoes, but I don't know, I don't really like wearing shoes. I think it's a lot funner to adventure around without shoes until you step on a spike, but until then, it's really fun. The only time I really wear shoes is if I'm going on a really long bike ride, or if I'm going skateboarding, or into like the States or somewhere where I kind of need to wear shoes. But I'm kind of getting sidetracked. I think definitely after adventuring around over rocks and mud and climbing trees a ton, that kind of rhymes. Climbing trees a ton. Kind of rhymes. Whatever. Well, I mean, my feet have definitely toughened up. Definitely, the more you walk around barefoot, the tougher your feet get, so the less it hurts. But now I'm kind of just used to it, and I just always walk around barefoot. Rowan, leaving your board in the sun can cause the foam to yellow. Buckle. Just saying. That was on the video where I showed me redoing my wax on my surfboard. Okay, just listen. Before you comment like that, just think for a second. Okay, so you're saying that if I leave my board in the sun for a couple of minutes, that's going to do something bad to it? Okay, now what about when you go surfing for like 3 hours? Like, what about then? And to clarify one thing, leaving your board in the sun doesn't make your board buckle, okay? Your board buckles when either like a wave breaks on your board, or if you fall on your board really hard. Your board isn't going to buckle from leaving it in the sun. It will start to turn yellow after long periods of time, but not in 3 minutes. I'm sorry, but it's just not. Jessica Colazzo, why don't you get a headband thing for your GoPro? Okay, so you mean something like this? Yeah, I do have a headband, and I don't really like the headband very much. The reason is when I attach my GoPro and I try to do something, the GoPro shakes around a ton. And I don't really like really shaky footage, so I tend to not use this. I actually never use it. I don't like it at all. And I always just use the GoPro, the mouth mount, because if it's in my mouth and I'm biting down, it's a lot more stable than having something strapped to my head bouncing around. And I actually also have this chest strap, which you wear it something like this. Okay. So I actually have this, and you wear it on your chest, but what I don't like about this is because it's so low on your chest that if you turn your head, the GoPro usually just stays pointed in one direction, and it's usually really low. So if you're surfing, that's a really low shot. Also, you can't paddle on your surfboard with the GoPro on your chest like this. And also, if you do a lot of things, the GoPro just ends up being too low, and it also shakes around a lot compared to it being in my mouth. So for what I use a GoPro for, I don't really like any of these straps. I don't like the chest strap. I don't like the head strap. I never use them. They can work good for certain filming things, but for all the things that I use a GoPro for, it just doesn't work for me. STFD. Q&A. At what age did you start surfing? Because you are very good. I started surfing when I was around 4 or 5ish, but when I was younger, I actually wasn't that into surfing for some reason. I didn't really care about it that much. My dad would be like, let's go surfing sometime, and all the time when I was younger, I'd be like, but now that I'm older, I'm actually a lot more into surfing. And you also replied to yourself and said, my name is Ashton. Nice to meet you, Ashton. Henry Angel. Hey, Atua, could you answer what do your parents work as, and do you have a job? So, my parents used to run a surf camp for the past 7 or 8 years, but then we recently stopped running that not too long ago, and now we create videos, and my dad does surf lessons. And if I have a job, so sometimes I help out doing surf lessons once in a while, and the surf camp actually hires me once in a while to do some photography for their surf camp. And I suppose making YouTube videos could be a job, but I don't like to think of it as doing a job. If you think of it as a job, then it becomes not as fun, but I think of making videos as just like a hobby and something that I like to do because I do like to do it, and that keeps it always being fun and not thinking of it as like a job, because I don't think of it as a job. Damn tube. Atu, I wanted to know about Costa Rica. Is it dangerous? Thank you and keep the good work up, buddy. Saludos desde España. Gracias por los saludos. So it really depends how you define dangerous, because sure, Costa Rica can be considered dangerous, but it really depends what's your definition of dangerous, because yeah, you could be walking and step on a spider which would bite you. So yeah, it can be dangerous, but let me know in the comment what you mean exactly by dangerous, and then maybe in my next Q&A I'll clarify if I think it's dangerous or not. But definitely, there are some things that can be dangerous in Costa Rica. So this is basically a wrap for today's Q&A. If you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave it in the comments of this video, because in my next Q&A, I usually answer questions from my last Q&A. So if you have a question, it's best to leave it in my last Q&A, and that's how I will most likely find it for my next Q&A. And I'm gonna wrap up today's video with a positive quote, and the video might continue on, it might not. I just heard some thunder, so if the thunder goes away, I'm gonna head down to the beach maybe for a little cruise. But if it doesn't and then it starts raining, then the video is gonna come to an end. But I'm gonna wrap it up just in case it does have to come to an end, which would be sad. This quote was sent to me by Trich Gaming. Life is about the present, not the past. Leave all the bad memories in the past and worry more about the rest of your life. So thank you very much for the positive quote, Trich Gaming. What this quote means to me is that there's so many times that we dwell on the past and something that didn't go right in the past. And I think what this quote's trying to say is, instead of dwelling on the things that went wrong in the past, don't just completely forget about it, don't dwell on it, but learn from things that didn't go right or maybe mistakes that you made in the past, and use it to improve your decision making in the future. So time will tell if today's video is going to continue or not, but until the time tells, we'll wait. So the thunder ended up stopping, so we're going to the beach. The real ending for today's vlog. If you have any comments, questions, make sure to leave them in the comments, and I'll see you guys tomorrow early in the morning.